Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can you see?
So in the past months, we've been talking about practice, kinds of areas of practice, and so yet another one occurs tonight. And it comes from something that we were studying over the weekend on Saturday in our Mountains and Waters Sutra study. And Okamura Roshi refers to something that he says Dogen doesn't approve of. He says Dogen Zenji doesn't approve of making someplace special, like to say, I love that mountain out there. And that Dogen Zenji simply, he just doesn't approve of making very, very special places of something sacred. But I want to qualify that, and I'm not sure that's exactly what Okamura Roshi means that Dogen Zenji says or means. I think when Dogen Zenji says such a thing, although I tried to find it in the fascicle today and I could not find it. If anybody can find that in that fascicle he refers to, he doesn't put a footnote on it, so I can't find it exactly, but I read it today and I couldn't find it. But I think what Dogen Zenji is getting at is that he asks us not to objectify something. Don't put the mountain out there, or put a person out there, or something, and just simply don't objectify it. And we're inclined to do that, I think, in our inclinations in our society when we make something so special. But at the same time, I think there are special things. And certainly, Dogen Zenji's temple is one of the truly sacred places in Japan. And it's a place of pilgrimage. There's deep, deep resonance when you go there. You feel you have been, you are going to someplace very special, a place very sacred. And I feel that there are many places like that for us. We feel particularly at home, in our homes, where we reside, where we sleep. We feel a sense of comfort and sense of place. And even though when we are sitting zazen and we are lifting ourselves into the samadhi, where there is no sense of place, at the same time, we are completely here. We're not someplace else. Our body is visible here. We've brought our body to this place. We've settled ourselves on this cushion. And so here we are. We're not someplace else, even though there is no place in the sense of samadhi, of zazen. So the practice of caring for the temple is one of our very deep and essential practices in Zen practice. It becomes very apparent to us at this time of year. But the Zendo, for instance, is a very particular place that we care for, that we treat in a very sacred way. We are not haphazard about any aspect of the Zendo. We care for it very, very specifically and carefully. And this is how we treat the temple. We care for our temple in all the aspects of the building and grounds that make up the temple. But it is also very much like Dogen Zenji teaches that as mountains are walking, we are the mountain walking, and the mountain is us walking, and the mountain is walking, and together we are walking as one. And it is the same with the temple and the temple ground, that we are not separate from the practice of caring for the temple and the temple caring for us. It is going both ways. So this, maybe temples are living and we are living. Maybe we could make it the same kind of way in which Dogen Zenji is talking or teaching us. about the no separation of mountains and us as mountains. No separation of the place of practice, the temple of practice, and the temple of practice, the body, which is also the temple of practice. These are not two separate things. Dogen Zenji is also, he's very specific also about the practice. I think in the fascicle that we were reading, or at least in this week's study, I think that Okamura Roshi also referred to the three treasures and the importance of the three treasures being the true reality. And in that is the Sangha. And the Sangha is the reality, the appearance, and the practice of Buddha together. And Dogen Zenji is pretty specific about the practice of Zazen as being deeply communal practice. We come together, and when we practice together as Sangha, we are practicing with all of the Sanghas that have ever existed, that brought us to this place that is manifested here, that we created. It is the manifestation of our practice. And those of you who were here in the beginning pasted these walls, put up these ceilings, made the lights and the electricity here. So this is a deep manifestation of our practice, the unveiling of the sacred place in which we can come that actually cares for us, that itself is a manifestation, and we are a manifestation. And together, we care for one another. We care for the temple cares for us. As we go out in the course of the day, the temple travels with us. We, deep in the unconscious, we carry the sense of temple, we carry the sense of the place of practice, and we carry the Sangha. Even though we may go to a place of work that is far removed from any of the people who are right here, that is the Sangha reaching out like a mandala. When we go out to all of our places, this is the mandala of the Sangha, going all around the city, from the center of the temple, going to the various places, creating mandala of the movement of Sangha. So the temple goes with us, we carry the temple, and that deep place in which we carry that cares for us in the course of a day and reminds us and teaches us as we go about our daily practice, our daily life in the marketplace. Here at this particular temple, we advocate for 1 hour of a week. 1 hour a week we work for Sangha. 1 hour of our wages we apply to our place of work, and 1 hour of wages we give to the temple, and 1 hour of actual work, not sitting in the zendo, but work on the land or polishing the windows or whatever it is that has to be done to continue to manifest a place that we come to allow ourselves to awaken, to experience awakening. Throughout the history of practice, temples have appeared, one after another, 15,000 of them in Japan. Now more and more temples appear in the United States. And because this temple appears, we verify all that have gone before us. We practice together with all Sanghas who have ever practiced, in the same way as we spoke about practicing because we practice, all of the ancestors continue to practice. If we stop practicing, if we just quit, we don't have to do that anymore. Buddha's teachings reside on the library shelf, and they are not made alive. And Buddha is not present and made alive. Dogen Zenji is not present and made alive unless we continue. And we don't do that because of that. We don't continue in order to keep Dogen Zenji alive. It's just that Dogen Zenji stays alive because this is the manifestation of Buddha. Our practice is that. Our practice is awakening. And so we sit in this state of awakened consciousness, awakened awareness, awakened aliveness. And we do it in a specific place together, because this is where we gather as Sangha. When Sangha gathers, the Dharma is present and the Buddha is present. So the triple treasure is manifested in the presence of our gathering in our space. And there certainly are sacred places, and many of us felt that when Notre Dame was burning a few weeks ago, that sense of something that we, as a society, a place that we honored, be it the architecture or the art or the sculpture, whatever it was, all around the world, people felt this sense of something disappearing from our ability to be able to visit it, to be able to know that it is there and that it serves that central point in which we enter that cathedral and we are in awe, just in awe of the size and the place and the care of it. And there are many such places. And the question is not to objectify that, but to understand its resonance in our culture, in our assembly, in our oneness, in our complete expression of the sacred itself. Well, sometimes it's easy, to come and sit and leave, and we are a very small, humble place. I personally wouldn't want it any other way. I think our place is deeply sacred, but also easy to take without too much notice, perhaps, because it is so simple and humble. And yet without it, we would not be gathering here. We would not be gathering. We would have not gathered over these 20 years. And when we are lifting ourselves to the samadhi of Zazen, to Shikantaza, lifting ourselves to be open to awakening, to this place of openness, complete openness. In order to do that, we have to set down extraordinarily deep roots. If we want to go to that awakened place, we must go very deep. And when we establish a place of practice such as we have here, we must go very deep, deep down, and to build a really deep fire in the earth and not a quick grass fire. We build a deep fire in the soil, deep, deep fire in the soil, which is the deep fire in ourselves. All of those aspects are aspects of practice and all are manifestations of the sacred, the sacred place that we hold within us. That is the expression of Buddha. That is the expression of Buddha Dharma Sangha. That is the reality. The Buddha Dharma Sangha, the true reality. And, we know that in our culture today that many places, sacred places, have been threatened. So it is just a great tragedy in our society today. I don't remember such a thing ever happening, and don't remember it happening. And so we sit deep. We sit deep. We live deep. We don't take zazen in a superficial way. We dive down deep into it. So, place of practice, care of place of practice, care of the temple is one of very, very important and deep aspects of our practice that sometimes we don't notice because we're coming in and out. But it is the body of practice. It is our body, the same as Mount Tahoma is our body. Mountains are walking. And this temple is a mountain. It is called a mountain. Shingetsu-zan. Every temple is given a mountain name. This is our mountain we are sitting on and in. So, Heart Moon Mountain. Maybe you have a question or something else to add, to say? Just add that our place of practice is also to be enjoyed, as well as respecting and caring for it. It's also to be enjoyed and lived in and appreciated and understood and learned. All of the various aspects of it. There are so many as we continue. Perhaps only those who lived from the beginning here in building this understand all of the nooks and crannies and idiosyncrasies about it, but they are all to be learned. And they also make it so wonderful and unique and challenging at the same time. The way your home is such a challenge, it requires such care and upkeep and a great deal of love. So, anything else, anybody? Yes, Will?
I forget the term, like foundation words.
Yeah.
But often I just kind of come back to in the song of the Jewel Mirror Samadhi, that you are not it, it actually is you.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, like, not objectifying, it just seems very strange to me when you flip it. It almost seems like it's just reversing the flow of objectification, but it doesn't seem that way to me.
Doesn't, no.
Like when the temple sort of walks into you, or, the sacred space comes into
Is-
you.
Yeah.
It just seems to me that that's kind of how not to objectify something.
Yes, that's quite right. Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. And we can do that with all of our experience. We can do that with everyone. We can, to me, everybody right now can see everybody else here, so everybody else is in us. You can't, you're in us because you're right inside in the back of my eyes and in me for me to be able to see you. So we're already doing it. We just don't notice that we're doing it, or we forget to notice. But if we can do that, we don't objectify, but we allow all of the facets of the great jewel, the Mani jewel, to appear before us, and without objectifying. And certainly the temple, reversing it. Yeah, you're quite right. Not objectified. I mean, the temple's not capable of objectifying us. So, right. So, thank you, yeah. But we don't realize how much the temple is taking care of us. We don't realize that. It's something that we just kind of come in and out, and it doesn't occur to us that this place of practice is taking care of us. Anything else, anybody? I mean, all that appears, these beautiful irises that appear here. Thank you, Mickey. Yeah, thank you very much for them. We maybe look at them and think, oh, aren't they beautiful? But they are in us, and they express, gratitude for our lives, and gratitude, expression of gratitude to the Buddha. And I know this is a statue, but the eyes of the Buddha are opened. And so, we're sitting in the realm of the gods here with the protection of the Buddha, the image of the Buddha. It is an image, but the eyes of the Buddha have been opened. And so there's a presence of Buddha that we sit with. So the flowers then care for us with beauty and gratitude. And that's true of just about everything. The only time it's a problem, as I was saying with Allison, I was talking about, and maybe with Will also, I took a painting class from McEnroe, from Bill McEnroe, who's a painter in Olympia. And, if you were going to paint an object before you, you would speak about the tyranny of the object before you. The tyranny that this thing is going to make its way onto your canvas, and that it was going to present such problems to you because of its shape and its color and its position in the world, and that it would have to be put on the canvas somehow. So he spoke about that as a great tyranny, which is to make a great object, to totally objectify it, and at the same time, not really. Because in order to paint it on the canvas, one has to totally bring it into oneself and somehow understand the color and move that color through the brush onto the canvas. So a tyranny, a kind of a tyranny, but not objectified. If we can not objectify it, somehow that will be expressed through us onto the canvas, But I always thought about that was one of his teachings, the tyranny of the object before you. Big problem. And sometimes things are big problems to us, especially if we have too many of them. So, Anything else, anybody? All right, thank you.